One of the weirdest parts of midlife is that realizing that the version that we were so good at, that brought us here, that version of ourselves that we became over time and brought us here, is not the version that is going to serve us well as we craft the next phase of our lives. And that, my friends, can be unsettling. For decades, right? For decades, we built things and systems and families and businesses and identities about being what needed. That was the identity, right? Being dependable, being reliable, being productive. That's me. Showing up for everybody and being strong. Those are areas that we took so much pride in and that were such vital parts of our identity until now. Because eventually you reach a point where you start to ask, who am I underneath all of these roles that I have been playing all of these years? Who am I? And that, my friends, I think can be a game changer. If you're new here, hello, my name is Dr. Maria Martinez, and if you're back with me watching another video, thank you for being here. Welcome back. This is the Inner Authority Project, and you probably know by now that here we talk about all things transformation, identity, and inner authority for women over 50. So if you are too contemplating and considering who am I between all of these layers, this video is for you. I believe that at certain point we outgrow that version of ourselves. And in fact, you probably want to watch the previous video when I talk about us even grieving that version of ourselves. Grieving, that was a huge realization for me. Yet I I woke up and I realized, wow, that is no longer me. That's no longer fulfilling for me. So when you come to that place where you feel as if you have outgrown that version of yourself and you are considering, you're trying to figure out exactly what it is that you're going to do in order to create this next phase of life, this is the conversation that I want us to have today. And not only are we going to talk about certain shifts, right, that our identity goes through during this process, but I'm also going to share with you a shift framework that I love, that I use with some of my friends in order to help us navigate this period of time. So let's talk about what I consider to be the shift framework, all right? Because there's so many different things that we can do in order to navigate this phase, and yet all of it can become overwhelming, right? The questions alone and the feelings alone can just get overwhelming. So let's talk about this little framework and identify how to channel our energy. The first part of the method, which is my shift method and stands, obviously each letter stands for something. I will reveal them. The first one is S, and it talks about stop performing. Ouch. Ouch. Let's break this down, right? That first one, truth bomb, stop performing. Again, we spend decades of our life fine tuning and even perfecting that version of ourselves, seeking typically approval, seeking validation, seeking safety, the strong me, the dependable me, the one that keeps it all together. Again, that sense of pride that comes with having a very clear identity. But eventually, it does become exhausting, doesn't it? It becomes exhausting. It no longer feels authentic. And in midlife, as women, we start to ask, what if I stop performing? What if I stop performing? Have you asked yourself that question lately? Maybe this is a great uh, prompt for your journaling activities. But what if we stop performing, right? I think it can both be terrifying, but also very freeing. So let's take a look again at the framework that starts with S and as in stop performing. The age in this framework tells us to hear our inner voice. That inner voice that is buried under layers of responsibilities and expectations and a lot of noise. When life slows down and we realize that we're ready for something else, often that brings us back to that place where if we listen closely enough, we realize that we have been ignoring our own needs, our own desires, our own interests, and even our own truth. This is why stillness matters. Reflection matters. You cannot reconnect with yourself if there's no space created so that you can listen to your inner voice. So, the S in this framework is about hearing your inner voice, and that takes time and energy and effort. None of this is easy, right? It requires that you show up fully, just like you would show up for other people in your life. Next is the I, as in identify outdated roles. And this can get tricky because remember that sense of being needed and validated. Yeah, it's still having a big role in our lives often, right? So sometimes the identities that helped us survive are the same ones that keep us stuck. And this is a topic I speak about a lot and I connect with women a lot about. I feel stuck. You might want to watch some of my videos on that topic. But they keep us stuck. These versions and outdated roles keep us stuck. The rescuer, the perfectionist, the overachiever. If you can relate to any of these, please write your comments on the comment section. These roles may have protected you until now, but let's ask ourselves, do they reflect who you are becoming? Think about that for a moment. Does that role, that identity of overachiever and rescuer and perfectionist, and she has it all together, does that really reflect who you are today? That was a big exercise for me because I realized I no longer cared as much to be a perfectionist or to have people think about me as in I have my life all together. Because actually, that was never the truth. But in some way, we take pride in conveying this image, right? So, yes, identify the outdated roles. That's the I in this framework. F is next, and that stands for focus on alignment. One of my favorite words is alignment. And what does that mean? That means that when we look at the things that we're doing, do they feel right for us? Do they give us energy or they take away energy? So here, focus on alignment is paramount. It's a really important part of this process. Because here, what I want to ask you, are you making decisions because you want validation, appreciation, you want acceptance, or because it feels authentic and right for you? Is this something that only you can do for yourself? And if so, will you do it? Will it bring spark back into your life if you do it? That is alignment. Asking yourself, does this feel right for me right now? And let me just say that alignment is usually happening in the quiet times when we can take a break from the busyness of our lives, when we are resting, when we agree to be honest with ourselves, when we decide to maybe set new priorities, maybe to set new boundaries. A lot of that is right there under the concept of alignment. And if any of those things are important to you, I recommend that you follow along with this framework and you take notes down because the T in shift stands for trust your next chapter. What? I am asking you to trust the next chapter. And this one might be the hardest because growth rarely ever comes with guarantees. So, yes, I'm asking you to stop performing and hear yourself and identify those old roles and focus on what feels right, on alignment, and to trust the process. And self trust doesn't happen overnight. Self trust doesn't come with guarantees, but you know how it comes about? One decision at a time, one conversation at a time, one brave choice at a time, one moment of listening and honoring yourself at a time, intentionally and honestly. Now, if you have felt disconnected, if you know that this identity shift is either starting to happen for you, is you're realizing that you're somewhere in the middle, I want you to know that it is not a crisis. This concept of midlife crisis doesn't happen to us, or at least I'm not claiming that. You know what I'm claiming this as? As an invitation. This period of time in our lives is an invitation to evolve, it's an invitation to reconnect, it's an invitation to stop going on autopilot. Because guess what, my friend? You are allowed to change. You are allowed to want something new. You are allowed to step out and shed all of those identities and become the woman you have always been and are meant to be. Because you are absolutely allowed to create a life that you can enjoy and feel proud of and go to bed at night and feel good about yourself. Now, if any of this message has resonated with you, if you're looking at any of these components of the shift method, I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and write down on the comments any of those steps that you're going to be focusing on. I also have a jumpstart guide that you can download. I will add the link on the chat. And please join me on this journey. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel because we're about to do amazing things together. You and me, our community together. Trust the process. Until next time, this is Dr. Maria Martinez, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Inner Authority Project.